Hello and welcome to another edition of Username Nerd, the Comic Summary Edition. We are going to be talking about Deadpool #1 from 1997. Deadpool is a great character. If there is one character in all of comics that just will not shut their mouths, it is Deadpool. Deadpool is that character. He is a wisecracking anti-hero. And in this edition, we are going to be talking about Deadpool #1 from 1997. This is his first long-running series, and this is a giant-size 36-page comic, and we're going to be going through this summary and then continuing it with other YouTube videos, going through about 2 or 3 episodes at a time. So let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, there is action, and he is in a jungle. I think it's Bolivian jungle, where he is running from some other people with guns, and he's already kind of wisecracking and talking about how his teleporter is not working, and Weasel, which is the person who helps him with his devices and stuff along those lines, he says, "I swear if Weasel took the batteries out of my suit and to run his Game Boy again, I'm going to crush that guy." And it's just, that is just definitely Deadpool. Now, he's going along, and the first thing he runs into, and it's just with a pang, he runs into this kind of metal, not monster, but a metal kind of robot that is yellow. And right off the bat, he is just attacking it, and, you know, there is a long-lasting battle with Sais and his samurai, and he finally pops the head off the thing, and there is a human inside. And there is a little bit of translation from Spanish to, and that translation is done pretty well. I love how they translate no, no, no to no, 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 and pops it off. And then we don't really know what happens, but the next thing we find out is he teleports in to it looks like another part of that country, hands the guy the gun, and the guy's like, "Senor Deadpool, you have liberated the weapon from our government oppressors. The revolution can begin." And then he's like, "I don't really care. I want my money." And he immediately gives him his money, and he talks about how, is this Monopoly money? He's like, "No, this will be great. Once the revolution is great, this will be worth a lot." And he's like, okay. I'm not getting paid with money that's not real right now. And he ends up kind of teaching them all a lesson. But while this is happening, it kind of looks like someone's kind of watching in on them. I don't know if it's from a different, through mind or whatever else, but they're talking about him and saying, "Hey, is he the one? No, he's too undisciplined." And they're like, "Wait, give him a couple seconds." And it's like they're kind of testing them from a distance. So then we go right from that to Chicago, where we got Sister Margaret's School of Wayward Children, and it talks about how there's a great place, but it burnt down, and now it's a horrible place, and it's called Hell House. And this is where they're actually selling or getting jobs for mercenaries and stuff along those lines. He goes in upset because he's not got paid. There's some things thrown around. Weasel's there and talks to him a little bit and says, "This is not, I want real jobs," and goes along those lines. Then we are whisked away to Antarctica. And this is Project Michelangelo with Dr. Languisky. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that name, but that's as close as we're going to get it. And he is talking about, they're doing this kind of research and stuff, and it's locking down a gamma core, which is basically taking all the radiation from the southern hemisphere and kind of capturing that and using it. And that is a very quick, short intro, and then into that storyline, and then we head back, and we are back at San Francisco. There was a knock at the door, actually a doorbell, and then Alfred comes, and Alfred is blind Alfred, and it's not a man, it's a woman, if you've ever known Alfred from the Deadpool anything. And it's someone a little girl just trying to sell her Girl Scout cookies, and she says, "No, I don't want any," in typical anti-hero fashion. And then we come back in. Deadpool is downstairs, pissed, throwing stuff around, And that's when Alfred comes in. And Alfred is kind of the mother figure of Deadpool and says, "What are you doing?" And he's messing around. And she says, "I smell smoke. What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just messing around everything else." He says, "I'm working on my Sunday suit." And she says, "But it's Tuesday." And basically he's trying to get a suit so he can see his love interest, which is Siren. If you know Siren is Sean Cassidy's daughter. Right at this point, she is Siren, but she becomes Banshee later on. Back to Antarctica, and the core is on live. And so they basically start up this core, and everything is working good. And basically, it's taking all the gamma radiation out of the air, the radiation from the southern hemisphere, and collecting it into Antarctica. The doctor basically says, "I want to go outside and look at it," and everyone's like, "Are you crazy? It's freaking freezing out there." And then in total crazy Sasquatch form, he basically takes his clothes, throws them on the ground, and becomes a Sasquatch, which is kind of a version of Beast. But he goes out there and says, "I'm fine. I've got thick skin." Then you have a gigantic one page of him standing there, and he is actually going out there and discussing it. And then we get a little glimpse of the people that were kind of looking in on Deadpool. And he's saying everything's on schedule. And they are setting it up so that Deadpool goes down and shuts off the Antarctica. Then we're back, and now we are in San Francisco Golden Gate Park. And he has, you can tell it's him because of his speech bubble is always yellow, but he does not look like he is, and he's actually changing with a holographic projector, and he's talking, and he's kind of going through and saying, comments to this guy, which is Gary, and he's going back, Jerry, I'm sorry, and later at the Hell House, he comes and he's like, "Good thing you're answering your page, Deadpool." He actually calls him Pool, and he says, "Sorry, Mr. Patch." Patch is the guy who's like selling stuff and everything else. He's like, "I got something for you. I got a demolition." And basically, he's basically telling him, "Hey, go down to Antarctica, shut this plant down. If you can shut the plant down and get back, there's a lot of money to be made." Then he goes down there. And then later, and guess where? Antarctica. He is far away, and he's complaining the whole way because he's just so far away because he's trying to get there without being seen rather than just teleporting right in. And then he decides to just take it down. And all of a sudden, just circumstances hit. Some guys were out. And then he hears him. He's like, oh, great. And then he takes him out. And at this point, Sasquatch hears him, pulls him out. And then the battle ensues. Sasquatch does not like his mouth, unlike everybody else. And in this, you can tell he's using a sword that is so small compared to Sasquatch. And he tries throwing grenades, does all kinds of stuff. It's a pretty just a fight scene back and forth. We get to a port where Deadpool is just like, "You know what? You're right. It's been me all along. Sniff, I'm the problem. Sniff, sniff. Thanks for showing me the light, Walter. Sniff, goodbye, cruel world." And then there is a gigantic and Wade, no, basically. Sasquatch thinks he goes through it, and then he's a horrible shot. And he actually ended up shooting the actual, the gamma crisis, glass. So the glass shatters, and he's like, "You know what you've done? You've doomed the entire southern hemisphere." And since it doesn't really matter to him, he will make anything. He doesn't care. He just wants to get the job done and everything else. But then Sasquatch pushes his buttons and knows exactly what to say. And he says, while he's trying to get out of there, he said, "You know what you just did? You've doomed the southern hemisphere, and the facility is meant to suck ambient gamma radiation out of the atmosphere. To do that, we have to generate energy with the reverse polarity to attract." Oh, it doesn't matter. And he's like, "What?" And he goes through it. And he says, no, not the end. A meltdown of this magnitude will eradicate the entire southern hemisphere. Others can look forward to mutations. And then he says cancer. And that pushes Deadpool's buttons, because if we all know Deadpool entered the Weapon X program because he had got cancer, and because he got cancer, that was a way of healing him, and ended up scarring his whole body and making him, just not good to look at. Obviously, his body is pretty scarred up. So this is where the anti-hero comes in. Even though he caused the problem, he jumps in, and to save the day, jumps into this just vat of radiation, and it's burning him. It's burning him alive. It doesn't quite make sense, but he throws some grenades. It explodes, and everything is safe. Radiation levels dropping. This is one of those, don't look too much into it, just continue on. And Sasquatch grabs him and says, I swear I'll make sure the government gives you a hero's burial if you don't make it. And then we have the thumbs up, because it's just eating through his suit. And Sasquatch pulls him away. Then we have the next scene later, or actually New York a few days later. He has tracked down the people that has paid for the job for him to actually go to Antarctica to take out that plant. He has tracked him down and said, basically, why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Pulls a gun on the guy. The girl turns around, and he obviously does Deadpool fashion and calls her Toots. And he's like, okay, my name is not Toots, but basically we have set up, and we are testing you, and there is something down the road. There is, we believe you are crucial to this big thing, and he's like, whatever, I'm out, and takes off and teleports out. And then she, at the very end, says he's still the one for the job. And that's really the end of the comic. I really like this comic. I know it is long. Normally number ones are normally long. But it does set up a lot. It's not necessarily an origin story, but it also tells a whole lot. So I do love this comic. And definitely the series going down the road is a very interesting one. Hope you like it. Thanks. Thank you for watching this video. This is a Marvel comic, and all images are from Marvel. Please support Marvel by buying their comics. This video is to help encourage people to go out and buy comics. Thank you. Okay, stop. Don't go to the next YouTube video or channel or skip, or don't do anything. Real quick, 5 seconds. We have 3 different channels. Please subscribe to them. Username Nerd News, username Nerd Comics, username Nerd Games. We have separated them out into 3 ones. Choose all of them, or just one to subscribe to. You'd love it. I promise you, we'll give you great content. It'll show up in your feed. You'll love it. Just real quick click. It doesn't take but a few seconds. You'd be awesome. Thank you. I mean, you are really awesome. Thank you.